Okay, we're recording. So welcome to the Referral Challenge Q&A Mastermind call for Friday, June the 30th. Got an exciting update that we'll be releasing later this week. Finally kind of got the Facebook group thing, I think, figured out. Been doing a lot of work on that lately, and I've got some really, I think we got it nailed down. So keep it simple but powerful. And so I'm going to be releasing that later this next week. And then we've got some other stuff on the client retention and lifetime value stuff that Aaron's working on. Going to dial that in a little bit more and then release that. So we've got those two big things. And then of course local by referral still coming up. So that's it for me on updates. Aaron, anything on your end?
I just want to know, you did a survey on meetings, so talk to that.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. So it looks like there were clearly a lot of input. People wanted some people wanted different times, but the people who show up regularly all said, it seems to me, they want to keep Fridays, and I think we have to defer to the people who show up regularly. Rather than changing the time. So I think the only question is now whether we continue at 2 on Fridays or we move to 1 o'clock on Fridays, because those were the two options that seemed like the most prevalent. Did you have a different takeaway at all from that, Aaron?
No, I mean, are we going to drop to 1 from 2 to 1 then?
Yeah, I think we're going to kill the Monday call. I mean, unless we could come up with a midweek call, but the Monday call just seemed, anyway, I think we need to look at that. We can test some things, but I want one that we just stick with. And so that could be Friday at 1 or 2, and then maybe we could test some calls at other times during the week and just see what those look like. The bottom line is, just for you guys that are here on the call and for those that are watching later, is that we just want to be available to you guys when you need us. That's it. We don't have any agenda to try and push information out to you. We just want to be available and helpful, and so that's the primary objective. All right, so with that said, let's get into this thing here. Chris, it's good to see you, man. Give us an update on how things are going with you and any questions or concerns or issues that we can help you with.
Okay. So just in terms of the survey there, 2 o'clock is just a bad time for me because I have to pick up my little girl. So 1 o'clock would work for me. But again, if most people are good with 2, then keep it at, don't change anything because of one person. That's for sure. I'll watch the video and catch up. So that's that. But everything's going great. So, we just moved into our new facility 2 months ago now. So we're still just ironing out all the kinks and getting everything going and figuring out how everything's going to flow. And, we partnered with a PT clinic when we moved into this space. So the wall between our facility, we knocked that down and just joined both facilities and made it one entity. So, now we're just trying to figure out like the flow of the referral back and forth. It's baked in for me because I do functional movement screens, and whenever they have pain, then hey, they're going right next door to the PT clinic and get that addressed. So it's already baked in. Now we're meeting on a weekly basis with them, just figuring out now how they can sort of return the referral back my way and build the fitness program into their physical therapy program, plan of care for their patients. So that's kind of what we're working on right now.
So let me ask, you've torn down the wall, like as in a section of the wall or like the whole wall? And how do you deal with, go ahead.
The whole wall is not there. So
wow. Yeah. And what kind of training do you do, Chris?
We do group training.
Right. And so now you get all this music blasting over into the PT area and they're okay with that?
So it hasn't been too bad because there is some treatment rooms, just the way it was set up. Like there are some treatment rooms that are in between. So I'd say about three quarters of the length of the building. There is something in between. There's at least some treatment rooms. but on at least 1/4 of it, though, for sure is wide open on the back half. So, but there's a free flow between the facilities, but there is a bit of a wall there. So, and we got some soundproofing put in when we first built it, so it's not been too bad. We can't blast the music like super loud, but you know, we put speakers in the ceiling every few feet all the way down to the whole training area. So no matter where the clients are, there's a speaker that's not too far from them, so we don't have to have the music too loud.
I find this so interesting because, you know, I've been in both disciplines. I've been in the therapy world, I've been in the training world, and so this is very interesting to me.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's really exciting. A lot of, you know, it's very impressive for a lot of people who walk in the door. You know, it kind of positioned us as a higher level of care, a higher standard of care. You know, when people walk in and it's like, yeah, this is our physical therapy clinic. And they're just like, wow, you know, these guys are doing things on another level. So it's been great.
Yeah. I can imagine that would be impressive to see. Plus, I like the idea that there's some the visibility, you know, that the PT folks can see you guys and you guys can see them. And I mean, on the one hand, I can see how some issues could potentially arise, but I imagine you'll resolve those. But just having the visibility, I think would also help with the referrals as well.
Yeah, people, because they're clients, they're right there seeing everything that we're doing, and they walk over and look, and in between the two, in the back area where there is free flow, there's what we call an MOG, or a medically oriented gym, that we put in there, which is really an extension of the PT clinic. So when somebody has done their initial PT, they can actually continue on in a small area with some basic equipment that they're being monitored by the PT still, and it's still being covered by insurance. Well, that section butts right up to my turf track and everything for my training area right there. So it's, you know, they're right there seeing everything that we're doing.
Yeah, cool. Is the PT company pretty well established? Are they on your level?
Yeah, they've been in business for about 5-6 years now, and they are known as really the best of the best in this area. So we're in a good position with those guys.
Oh, that's fantastic.
How did you work that relationship? Did you know these guys from the past? I mean, how'd you pull that off?
Yeah, well, they kind of just heard what I was doing with my clients with FMS, and just really taking a lot better care of my clients than most, and they wanted somebody that they could refer their clients to, or their patients rather, to, who they could trust, who wasn't going to hurt them. So we established that relationship that way through a friend, and then we just nurtured that for about a year. And we started meeting and actually just going out to dinner and just really building the relationship first. And then the space next door to them came available, and they called me up and said, "What do you think about moving in next door, and we can really start working together?"
Awesome.
So it was their idea. They invited.
They presented it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so let me just throw out one idea, and then I'd like to hear any additional ideas that you guys have about this. But in terms of the referrals from them to you, one of the things that could be built in that would be relatively painless and easy to do is for every one of their PT clients, as soon as they go off PT therapy, to be given a sequence, a special offer sequence that they get. Maybe it's just a 3-touch or something, where they can take advantage of your services for some type of special offer, but it's strictly limited. You know, maybe you give them whatever 2 weeks to take advantage of it. But that way, it becomes an SOP. It becomes a standard operating procedure. Every single PT patient they have, as soon as they're done, boom, they get the offer. Is that something that could potentially work?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we've been working on, like how to systemize that, and so we just met about that and talked about that a few days back. So we're just sort of starting to head down that pathway, whether it's something that they give them in their hand when they come in, like a gift certificate of some kind for a 30-day trial or whatever it is. Yeah, something we're planning on putting something in place.
Yeah, good. I would just encourage you to go beyond a handout. I think that's a great idea to initiate it and give them some collateral and say, hey, want to bring your bring this to your attention, but then also a follow-up sequence of, either offline or online, but at least one or two more touches just to give them a chance. Yeah, and that way it's systemized. It's just like sort of the onboarding sequence, except this would be an offboarding sequence kind of. Yeah. What else are you guys considering? Have you gotten into that discussion yet?
So right now we have opened up some consultative time in the schedule so that my clients could have access to a physical therapist throughout the week. So we basically took Wednesday night to start with from 4 to 6, 30-minute increments. They have a PT who's dedicated to us. So, and those time slots are on my online schedule for my clients. So now whenever my clients are having some pain, some problems, maybe with a mobility restriction, whatever that I have them working on, they can get that higher level of care simply by going on and signing up weekly, just like they would sign up for training. So we put that in place about 2 weeks ago. That's been going really well. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. That's great. All right, good. What the other thing, this is a slightly more advanced, but something to keep on your radar. It sounds like the facility that you guys share has a good open area to it, and so you could invite people in, to do some talks about physical therapy, about fitness related things, just some small little seminars type thing. I mean, like almost like a lunch and learn, but an evening thing. And that would be, it's great positioning, and it's also a great way to introduce people to the facilities and to you guys.
Right.
So that's another.
So how long have you been in this new place now, Chris?
2 months.
All right. And did you do another grand reopening?
We did not do a grand reopening yet.
Well, you should. And are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
All right. Did they come and do a ribbon cutting yet?
Not yet.
All right. So all those go on my radar as soon as, those immediately become my to-dos, right?
Right.
And so anyway, I would instantly do that.
Right. Absolutely.
I think that's definitely do that. And what you could do is try and piggyback onto that ribbon cutting ceremony, and because hopefully you're able to get some folks to show up for that, and then you could potentially provide a little 30-minute seminar right afterwards where you just take people in. It's a tour plus a seminar, a little education opportunity, and you do some lead generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, this is press release stuff as good as anything.
Yeah, right. And then publicity as well. Yeah, good. But are you still, I remember a couple weeks back talking, the foot traffic had picked up, and now that you moved, is that still the case? Are you still getting some walk-ins and things?
Oh yeah, every day. Yeah, we're in a prime location right on the main highway that runs all the way through our city. We're right on that highway. So we have traffic every day coming in the door. So we've just been working through, I just got out of a training with my admin. We're just working through scripts and just trying to keep on top of that. But it's going pretty well.
Good. Are you tracking conversions from those walk-ins?
No, I don't think so.
Start doing that. So, you want to get a feel for it, because frankly, you might discover it's a complete and utter waste of your time. They might just be looky-loos, and you won't know that unless you track. On the other hand, they could be your best clients. Again, you wouldn't know unless you track.
Got it. So I am tracking all my numbers with Camellia in the online spreadsheet and everything in terms of sales. So I know if somebody converts and they were a walk-in. So what you're saying is to basically anybody who walks through that door, count them, and then if they do convert, you can see what the conversion is of all the walk-ins.
Exactly, because that is a lead source. Walk-ins for you is a lead source. So you want to track that as a lead source. And then, when you convert, then okay, well, we converted 3 or whatever, 4, 5 this week, and 2 of them were walk-ins, or 0 were walk-ins, whatever. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time, probably 6 months to determine, maybe a full year to determine whether it's a great source for you or not. But the numbers, it's always going to be to your benefit to have that a handle on the numbers, on the particularly lead sources and lead source to conversion, that type of thing. Because that tells you where to focus your efforts and your energy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Walk me through, Chris, if you don't mind, real quick, how someone walks through the doors. How are they greeted? Who greets them? What information do they leave with? How do you capture the information? That whole thing. Okay.
So if somebody walks through the door, generally my admin is there. If she's not there, then it's going to be one of the trainers. But my admin is there. Let's assume she's there. She will come out from behind the desk and will greet that person walking through the door, with a smile, a handshake, and we have a coffee area and waiting area. So, they'll come in after she greets them. She'll offer them water, tea, or coffee, and invite them to sit down and have a conversation at that point in time in our waiting area. So she will begin going through her script at that point in time that we have set for her, and just learning about that person and what their needs are. After that, we are then going into a tour of the facility as we're talking with them, and then as we return back, offering them the opportunity to set up a consultation or a trial that we might have in place.
Dang.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because we talked about this before and you've got it all dialed in now. So is your admin pretty comfortable in that situation, talking to those people?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's doing pretty good with that. And then if anybody doesn't, take action at that point in time, I posted some pictures. We talked about this before. I created that folder that has the crystal ball report in there and the video report in there. So they'll get that at least and walk out the door with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's outstanding. I mean, that is like 95% more than what most businesses do.
Yeah.
I mean, so it might not be perfect right now, but you're working on it, and it's really solid. I mean, that sounds great. That sounds great. Good for you.
Thanks.
What else? Anything else going on that's worth talking about?
So I wanted to get some suggestions on, I think that in terms of building this relationship with the PT guys, and as well as some of the other referral partners I have some chiropractors who are coming in and working out with us, and we're trying to build a relationship there with them. And I have a salon owner that I've been working really close with as well, but she's already a client. But in regards to the chiropractor and the PT guys from next door, I've talked to them about the best way for us to establish this relationship is for them to experience my program, firsthand themselves. And we've talked about that. So the chiros they've been working out with me for about a month, and just said, hey, free on me, just take it and just experience it in my program. The same with the PT people. But moving forward now, should I just give those folks, those referral partners, free memberships with me and just give them all access to everything? Should it be like just a really good discount? Like, I'm not quite sure, because we're kind of at that point now where in both cases, we want to keep them going in our program as well, but I'm not quite sure how to structure that.
Yeah, I would not necessarily, I think you take this on an individual basis, a case-by-case type thing. But, and why I say that is because some partners are going to bring a lot more to the table than others. And so if there's a lot of value, you sense that this person is really engaged, that they've got a decent list, they're enthusiastic about co-marketing, co-promoting with you, those types of things, then I might, if I was my business, I might consider continuing to give them free membership. But I think for most, I would have them pay. And one of the models I would encourage you to consider is what Fred Zoller's doing. And that's, where he has this, like, I think it's about $200 a month for his membership. I know it's different for you, different price points, but his like $200 a month. He gives them a half rate, so they pay $100 a month in their membership fee, and they're paying $200 a month, but $100 of it goes towards the advertising that he does internally for them. So he gives them an invoice for that, which they can then write off. So essentially, the bottom line to them is $100 a month cost. So they're getting it at half price. That is something that I really like. I don't know if it's applicable to your facility, or not, whether you can make that work. That's one consideration. But just in terms of the price point, or in terms of pricing, I would, my default would be that they should pay. Maybe they pay a reduced rate, but that they should pay, unless, of course, they bring a lot to the table. What's your sense so far about this chiropractor?
I'm not quite sure about the chiropractor just yet, but the PTs, though, we're really obviously closely working with those guys. And in conversation with them last week via email, he was asking the main therapist was asking me about his wife coming in and would like to start experiencing my program, and what would that cost? And I really had no idea where to go with that, at that point in time. So, and we just sort of talked about a little bit via email about that we have to establish sort of what those lines are going to be and what the prices are going to be, kind of friends and family for each other's services. And one of his responses back was that for me and my wife, that we would basically, anytime we needed treatment for anything, we would have free treatment in his clinic, but so that's, but again, it's few and far between probably where we would need physical therapy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he's throwing out free. So I'm like, all right, well, should I throw out free back,
Yeah. So does this guy's working out with you now, right?
Well, he's not yet. We haven't gotten there. Some of his employees are sort of doing that 1 month. I want you to experience our program. We haven't but we're coming up on that point now where, that will be the case.
Yeah. I hear you. And I know this is kind of a tricky thing because you want to be generous, but you also got to take into consideration that you run a business, obviously, and you don't want to turn them off. You want to keep the relationship warm and all that stuff. So I know there's a lot that goes into this consideration. So, what's your gut on it? Do you feel like, because it's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, you should do this or you should do that, but I don't have all the information you have. What's your gut on how this should go?
Yeah. Maybe like for the PT guys who are here, since we're sharing a facility and really closely working together to grow, my gut is free for just those key players. But then for their staff and their family members, some sort of, discount, but I wouldn't give it away free to them.
Okay, good. Now I like that. And what you could, here's another way to think of it is that, they can pay you dollars, obviously, and that, or that maybe they can provide value in some other way. And what I'm thinking is, like, for instance, you could say, hey, what I'd like in exchange for your, and this is special just for them. That's how I would, I'd phrase it like, this is just for you guys. I'll be willing to give you free membership where you can come in and work out as frequently as you want, blah, 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 whatever, all the benefits. All that I ask is that you 2 or 3 or 4 times a month, you post something to Facebook. Or, or you agree to send out one broadcast email to your list once a month on my behalf, something like that, so that you're tying them into doing some proactive marketing in exchange for the membership. Does that sound viable to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this thing I mentioned at the beginning that we've kind of got this Facebook group thing, I think, figured out. Do you currently have a Facebook group that you use, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Is it just for clients?
It's just for clients. I don't have a public one.
Yeah. Okay. And how's that group doing? Do you like, how is it for you as, or your people to administer the group? What's engagement like? Is it good, bad? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, we've been doing one for years. It's pretty good. I think the engagement goes in ebbs and flows a little bit, depending on the season. It's not great engagement. We post on there 2 or 3 times a day, every day. But so it works good, I think, but it's not huge engagement. I'd love to see more engagement.
Yeah, well, I think that's most folks, but it sounds solid. So, all right, and how many clients do you currently have?
133.
Okay, all right. Do you have most of them in the group?
All of them, yeah. If they have Facebook, they're in there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Well, the reason I brought that up is because I think done right, a public group can be a really great way to capture leads, as opposed to saying, "Hey, like for instance, Mr. PT guy, can you send out an email offering folks my lead magnet, whatever it may be," which is fine, but it could be more compelling to say, hey, would you invite people you know to join my group? And here's all the stuff, all the benefits of joining my group. It's a dynamic thing. There's all this added value. It's a lot of things that they can get. So it's much more compelling than just, hey, download my lead magnet. So anyway, that's just something to think about. When I release the information next week, you'll be able to take a look at it. We can discuss a little bit more. But that's, that's a possibility, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess the bottom line to answer your question is, yeah, I'd consider whether whether it's going to be free, whether you're going to have them pay, or whether you're going to do some sort of barter. And that barter could be, barter for services or barter for marketing. And I'd choose the marketing. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, first of all, I never had a great experience with chiropractors trying to do trade outs. Some people pull that off well because they grew up, but every time I tried to work with a chiropractor, it turned bad for me. And I would send people to them, and then they would turn around and tell, my own clients, don't go work out until you're feeling better. And I'm like, this is not working out for us, right? So as much as I tried to salvage the chiropractic stuff, that kind of was the overall theme. So I just say that, and you're in a bit of a different situation because you're in the PT world, all right? You get that. So you might have an advantage I didn't have, but just watch the chiropractor thing. Keep a close eye on that. In terms of, whether you should trade out or not, my thought on that was, these guys brought me an opportunity that I didn't have. They created an alliance that I wouldn't have had. They've opened up their doors for me, literally, right? And they upped my brand when they did. Of course I'm giving it to them. Mm-hmm. That would be me, right? But the key players only.
Right.
Right? But that's just my take.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the relationship, if you feel like there's a future there, and obviously you do, or you wouldn't have aligned yourself with these folks to some degree, moved in next to them at least,
right,
and been doing this stuff, it's a great way to continue to build the relationship, not just with the physical therapist, the doctor himself, but with his wife. So again, who knows where that can go. I mean, so yeah, food for thought. I just wouldn't, and it doesn't sound like you are, but I think some people just have a tendency to be penny wise, pound foolish kind of thing. Like, oh no, you got to pay, blah, blah, blah. And then they hurt a relationship that could end up being very, very productive if it's on a more positive note.
Right. Okay.
Adrian, you want to add anything? You got any thoughts on this?
I guess I had to unmute it. I've just been listening the whole time, but honestly, it's kind of I haven't ventured into partnerships at all myself personally. I haven't started that yet. I want to, but I haven't. So I really haven't had much experience with it. I mean, just from what it sounds like, because they kind of invited you to work with them. Was that right? That was kind of the situation went?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I tend to just be I'm not laissez-faire, but more about, hey, you help me, I'll help you. Let's just make it work and just sit down and talk about it, whatever is best. I mean, it sounds like you guys have a good thing going on anyways, but I probably wouldn't make any of the PT people necessarily pay for something. Because, I mean, if they're driving business to you and, like Eric said, kind of upping the brand, like, I mean, that in itself should make the track it, but it should pay for what they would pay in terms of anything that they would get from you.
Right.
That's my take on it. I think but I haven't done anything, so it's a new perspective for me. But from a third party, like totally no experience perspective, that's just what it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's solid advice. I think the consensus here is build the relationship. Focus on the relationship first. So if that means giving him something free, taking that step with his wife. I know you're already doing it for them. It can't hurt, really. It can't hurt because it's a finite number. You're not letting in a bunch of people. It's just whatever, 3 or 4.
Just make sure that what I would do, because what Aaron said, I would go up to them and ask them and say, hey, wait, are you telling my clients not to work out, or what are you guys telling them?
Yeah.
Because, if they're telling them, no, don't work out, and, wait, and then you have to deal with that, and they're paying monthly, and then it gets complicated. I wouldn't assume anything on that end. I would go up to them and ask them, hey, what are you telling my clients when I send them to you?
Yeah. The good thing about the PT side of things, at least because they are right here, their goal it's very evident in what they've been doing is to keep people going in my program. Like just this morning, one of my clients went over there to see them for some knee pain, and he came and got me this morning. The doctor came and got me this morning, and he walked me over there with my client and said, all right, we walked through, like in 5 minutes, we walked through, all right, here's the things that she needs to avoid. Here's some things I suggest in place of those exercises, and let's keep her going.
Yeah, that's good. As long as the goal is to always get them back into your facility for longer. And then there's one thing I did want to add, because I'm always reminded about it. Like at day's end, there's one thing that you can always control, and that's your reputation. So like if you continuously, prompt the other people up and give them the best that you can, and even if they don't send you business or something doesn't work out on their end, they may talk about you in a much more positive way. And, maybe one day they talk to somebody and that person ends up signing up just because they heard about how nice you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I read an email once from Pat Rigsby that being nice is a competitive advantage, which is strange, but take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It will always work to your benefit. Will you get taken advantage of sometimes? Yes, and there's no doubt. But will it ultimately come out in your favor? I've lived that life. I know it's true. It absolutely does. As long as you're not a doormat, you don't let people walk over you. But
yeah,
nice works. Yeah. So good discussion. Just real quick for my own edification, I'm curious. Adrian, do you run a Facebook group?
Yeah, private one for my members. It's we kind of pride ourselves. I actually kind of prompt it as like a confidential group. It's secret, so you can't find it unless you're invited. And that helps a lot of people sharing it. It's pretty good engagement. I always encourage people to keep posting in it. So, it's worked out really well.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, good. All right, so that's interesting. Chris, on your Facebook group for clients, do you have people, do folks that share things in there that they might not want to share publicly, that they feel comfortable because they know it's just a members only type thing?
Yes, we positioned ours as a secret group as well, and we position it at the sale as a support group, and we tell them it's secret for a reason, and the reason being that we want you to feel comfortable sharing when you are struggling. And that's, we want them to get vulnerable there. So that has been great for us as well. Then they definitely, it doesn't happen all the time, but people definitely share.
Okay. Awesome. All right. That's good. That's good to know. All right, cool. Well, I think just to sum this up, you're doing the right things, Chris. You're pursuing the right, you're on the right track. You're moving forward nicely with these partnerships, and you're, just trying to figure it out. And that's the name of the game, is just getting in there and working through it, and continuing to look for ways to proactively promote each other. It will probably almost always be easier for you to promote them than for them to promote you, generally speaking. And that's because you guys, for the most part, are much more marketing savvy, and you generally have the assets to market, whereas some of these other businesses don't. That might not be the case with your PT partners. It might, but it might. So the point is just you got to work to find ways that you can leverage them successfully. And oftentimes it comes down to just saying, hey, here's what I need you to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So going back to your welcome package, to Eric's point, it might not be a bad idea to include some of the PT brochures or something in your welcome pack.
Right.
Walk out that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's part of the welcome kit in the onboarding process that we have in this SOP is a preferred provider like list or, best businesses type list. And you could, put them on there as well as the chiropractor and everybody else. As you add more partners, you can add them to that list.
Absolutely.
And welcome back.
What we've done.
All right. Chris, anything else before we move on to Adrian?
No, not right now.
Okay. All right, great. So Adrian, give us an update. Let us know how things are going and any questions we can help you with.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about where to start. We've had a lot going on. I think me being sick is a symptom of that. I tend to get sick if I don't have time to process things. Just what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just getting now back into the sales role. I've met so far with 9 people, closed 7. So I guess I can still close people after taking a break from it for a while. So that's good to know. But what's nice about it is that I think just my whole approach has changed. Like before, I used to base it off of like a written document that I had and like at a form. Like I basically used their health history form. I used the backside of it because I had good questions on it and I would always hold that in front of me. But now I just start off by sitting in front of them and just having a conversation, and I can still close people. So that's nice to know. So it's a lot less pressure for me now to do that. I still get those lumps in my throat when they say I got to think about it or it's too expensive, but I think I'll just work through it over time and figure it out. I think what helps me to know what I can do is when I get faced with an objection, I'll always try and ask them more about it to isolate it and then really understand. And then I guess I'm okay. Like I have closure knowing that as long as I can get honest feedback from them, like to the point where they know I'm not trying to sell them and they can give me feedback, that's very useful. So I think that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to that. But so it's been good. Still in the process of hiring an admin. So I'm going to meet with people and get that done because just a lot that happens organizationally needs to be kept track of. But I am learning something that actually Aaron and I were talking about too. And it's being shown more now than it was before. But I didn't see the need for it. But now I know that I have to hire people not just for their technical capacity, obviously, and not even just for their attitude or their character, which is what I've always judged by. But now it's like a step further. Now I need to hire them based off of their leadership abilities as well. Like how well can they take charge? How well can they, manage under stress? How well can they take initiative on projects or things that they think could be done without me having to come up with the ideas? Like I'm realizing now more than ever that I need a team of idea starters, not just people to do things. And it's kind of biting me in the butt now because I know for a fact I need a position open for like a facility partner, somebody who could be my go-to to be the face of the facility, so I can actually step out.
Yeah.
A large part of their role is going to be sales. Obviously, that's critical, number one. And then they can still train sessions if they need to fill in, or if they have a passion for training sessions. I also want to give them that outlet. So, but that I need somebody in that role, and nobody on my current team wants that role. So, lo and behold, I have to hire from the outside now. And that for me is going to be a big deal because this person's going to have a lot of influence, and I want, I need to take my time with that. I haven't started that process yet because I still want to just get the admin in place before I do that, but that's the next biggest step for me. And I'm really nervous about it because it scares me. Because like I can trust people really easily at the beginning, almost to the point where you could fool me pretty easy, but you have like the rest of your life to prove me wrong. That's how I am. I trust really fast. And so to hire somebody to just do training sessions, like I'm comfortable with that, because if there's mistakes there, I know I can like make up for it. you know, but with this higher position, I'm more nervous because like I still view my age as a limiting factor. Like I'm only 26. Like somebody can look at me and think, what do you know? You know, or if somebody really has a lot of confidence in themselves and I'm trying to bring them on my team, I want to make sure they're not going to just go rampant on it and treat it like their own little pet and then completely destroy the culture we have. So I'm really trying to figure out like the hiring process for that role because it's the first time I've ever done it. But I know that if I can do it right and this person can stay on board and really buy into what we do, then that's exactly what I need right now, because I don't have anybody in that role and none of my team members currently want to step up to it. So that's a big thing for me going on. And I know that I want to touch on that, but before I forget to mention it too, I'm just becoming more jaded with the franchise I'm in, just because like, and it really hit me home yesterday because like I was trying to sign up this couple and, you know, like it was just, and I had everything set. We had the agreement done and we had a price set and they agreed on it. And then a day later they text me saying they looked at the location down the street and the owner over there was going to give them a better deal. And so then from that, like, I think that like it's happened before because they've been open for a while, but it's just the more it happens, the more I get really upset. And like I'm trying to negotiate a buyout right now from them, but it's being very, very difficult. And since I'm in the process of like expanding into a new location, I don't have much like money to work with, you know, like I gotta like almost kind of like pick my poison, you know what I mean? So it's like the way that they're doing it, like for me to buy out from the brand, I would have to pay like half of what my remaining balance is for the franchise and then do monthly payments. Like I can't just keep paying my monthly royalty as it is, which would be a lot easier, but they're like requiring me to do half up front. It's like, I don't want to pay like $9,800 right now when I could save that for the space and for everything there, you know, but it's just, and it hurts because like, you know, like in the middle of a sales consult, it'll get me like in the back of my mind. And I'm like, man, these people probably went down the street. And I'm like, don't let it bother you, you know? So it's just becoming jaded. There's less pride that I used to have before. And I know that like my fiance, Catherine, definitely notices it. Like she notices like the fire in my eyes is kind of like dimming a little bit, but that's a big part of why, because like, how do you differentiate yourself except for like beating your chest loudly? More loud, you know, like even though I have, that's the thing too, it's like perception is such a big deal because I know that I have 2 programs for my membership that none of the other Fit Bodies have because I've done my research and I invested in them. But even if I say that, it's the customer's perception is still Fit Body, same.
Right.
It's very hard to overcome that. So, but those are the 2 biggest things right now. Just getting somebody who I can trust enough to be my right-hand man, who can sell and who can care and who can take initiative, you know, and just figuring out what I'm going to do about leaving Fit Body. Those are the 2 biggest things on my mind right now. And it's just, I haven't had time to think about it because I'm still doing all the daily stuff. So it's just been a lot.
What's the length of term on your franchise agreement?
It was 5 years, and I know I'm like 2 years into it, so I have 3 years.
Yeah, but you're not. Your obligation is monthly royalty, right? And is that based on percentage of total sales?
No, thankfully it's not. They just have a low fixed rate, so
yeah, all right. Yeah, so it's like a license. Yeah,
right.
Interesting. Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. You know, I mean, yeah, I just have, it's like you get a visceral reaction to all that stuff. But you know, have you had a lawyer look at it? Are there any loopholes, any way out of that agreement that you could, other than buying yourself out?
That is my next step. Is to find a franchise lawyer in my town, which I've never had to do before, but that's what I got to do, and then just show them the agreement and go through it.
Yeah, because at the very least, what could happen? The very first business I ever started right out of college was called business. The service I performed was business arbitration and debt negotiation. Sounds very technical. It's not, but it just negotiated reduced settlements on behalf of the debtor in business-to-business lawsuits. So learned a little bit about the entire process. And one of the things that I learned at a very early age that I'm very thankful for is that everything's negotiable. Everything is negotiable. And so one of the advantages of having a lawyer, even if you got to dump $500 into that lawyer, maybe $1,000, is that they can negotiate on your behalf, whereas you really don't have any leverage unless you're really good. So a lawyer can do a better job, and potentially, and this is one of the things I'd have them pursue. If they can't find a hole in the agreement, then have them pursue a reduced settlement where you're paying 50 cents on the dollar, something like that. So that's another option, something for you to, but beyond those things, you might be locked in, and you might just have to cough up the cash if you want to get out. Not a whole lot more I can say on that. But let me move to the other issue, which is the hiring somebody. And that is, number one, I would suggest that you start getting an ad out right away and just start getting leads in, start talking to people. Hire slow, fire fast, as they say, and start talking to some people and try and isolate it down to, well, here's a couple things on this. First of all, do you have a process for hiring that goes beyond just that says, hey, just send me a resume? What's your process for hiring?
Yep. So our process for hiring is typically we get their information. I'm not too big on resumes. I'd rather the first question that I actually make them answer is in the application, or in the ad. And at the end of the ad, it says, send me an email here and tell me why you think you should be responding to this ad. So that's what kicks it off. And then all the candidates I get an email response for, I follow up with them. And then I send them, I kind of crafted it on my own, but I've learned to kind of take the opposite approach of I always highlight the difficult aspects of the job. And that's what I respond to their email with. I say, okay, this is what you're going to get yourself into. And then I list it up from there. Pretty much a lot of the expectations, self-development is a big deal. Working beyond just normal hours is also a big deal. Taking care of our clients as if they're family is a huge deal. And you're going to be expected to come up with ideas on your own and make sure that you can initiate. So we're not going to babysit you. And are you a self-starter? Can you do this position even though it'll be difficult for you? So basically I send that, all the highlights. I make sure they confirm, fine, good. And then the next step is I sit down with them for just a short amount of time. I just get to know their background, who they are as a person, what motivates them, pretty much like a sales consult for a client. What motivated you to start with us today? Why do you want to be here? Why would you want to work here for this place? And help me understand that. But I think for me personally, it changed over time. I'm not afraid to put them on a defensive position during this first interview. I want them to kind of be whoa, okay, back off, man. Because that's what I need to see. I want them to be able to handle that kind of pressure from me, because that's honestly what they're going to get in the working relationship, because I don't want to be easy on them. If we're going to advance forward, I can't be easy on them. So they kind of get that first. And then after that, and this is actually where I want a lot of help with, and I want some feedback too. I try and put them into a situation where I give them a task to do where I know that they can handle it because I've done it before. And then I just have them, I see how they respond to things, client inquiries or prospect inquiries, or just being with our clients during a workout, simple little things, just to see how they connect. And then sometimes I try and find a way to put them a little bit under pressure. So if I haven't told them anything and I get an email, I'll ask them how would you respond to that? Or if I get a phone call, I'll say, hey, take this, without necessarily giving them the much to work with, just because I want to see how they think on the fly. Yeah. And then after that, typically I just do a little bit of a group interview. All that is just to introduce them to my current team members, but just so they see who they're working with. It gives my team a chance to ask questions. And then after that, I'll meet with them again and then give them other tasks to do. And if I see that things are clicking and it's a good fit, typically then I'll bring them on board. And then we have a 90-day probation period, so that within the 90 days, I can really test and solidify their trust and commitment to us. If it doesn't work out, no problem. If it does work out, great. You're hired after the 90 days, like officially, you know. And but that's the hiring process. And then before I forget to say it, because I know I'll forget, I really want to find ways to help to give them situations to put them under pressure during the hiring process. And I'm trying to rack my brain on how to do that, but I don't want to like risk a client relationship just to do that, you know. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
All right, so there's a lot there, and I just want to back up for a second to the very beginning of the process, and this is where I think you ought to consider an adjustment. And this is, so the way I look at this and what we built out back in the MPE days for all of VIPs was a landing page. So the ad doesn't ask them to send an email. It asks them to go to directs them to a landing page. And on the landing page, you sell them. It's a sales presentation. It's a sales letter, essentially, where you talk about the amazing growth that you've had with your business, your own personal growth, the quality of your clients, the environment and community that you've created, how awesome it is at your business, and invite them to be part of that. So you're selling them first on, hey, this is a hot job. This is something that's really, really cool. And so what that does is it attracts higher quality people that really want. And not only will it bring you more leads, it'll bring you more good leads, you know, because people, and you can say things like, hey, I'm looking for entrepreneurial people who I can teach how to grow as an entrepreneur. And, you know, and maybe one day you want to start your own fitness business and you'll be able to learn all the ins and outs from me, that type of thing. So it's benefit, 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 benefit. And you also might do a little problem building in there, talking about all the shitty jobs that are out there, you know, and maybe your own experience working in the fitness or business in fitness field in shitty jobs, if you've ever had any before, because there are plenty of them out there. And tell them how shitty it is everywhere else and how great it is at your place. So you're getting a higher quality lead, you're getting a greater volume of leads. And then the call to action at that point is to take the next step, which could be to complete a form. And in that form, that's what I would recommend. In the form is where you have them write out a little essay that says, hey, tell me why you're perfect for this position, that type of thing. So there's some skin in the game on their part right up front. You have a lot of ammunition. One of the things that I did a few years ago when I hired somebody to do some work for Local Leverage, just when I first started it, and this is something I learned from Noah Kagan, who's a real smart guy. I've referenced him before, is I ran the ad, drove to a landing page. On the landing page, I said, hey, I was looking for somebody to do graphics and technical stuff. I said, hey, I need you to create me a video and post it on YouTube and send me the link. And in the video, explain to me why you're the right person for this thing. So that's a lot of work. You know, they got to create a video, post it in YouTube, send me the link, and ended up getting about 8 or 9 real good applications that way, video applications. And if somebody's going to go to take those steps, you know, they're pretty motivated. So things to think about, but the most important bit I want you to get from this is to make it a marketing process where, you know, you sell them on a great job that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I guess I just want to, you got me thinking about the problem building part. Like, I don't want to make promises that I won't be able to keep, because to be honest with you, like, the role of the facility partner is going to be a pretty demanding role. You know,
I'm not suggesting you make any promises you can't keep. What I am suggesting is that you sell your business, the opportunity to work in your business for what it's worth. You know, and we can all attest, anybody who knows you or knows anybody in this group knows that to get an opportunity to work with one of you guys, and if this is somebody who's serious about being in the fitness field, they're going to get so much more from you, 10 times, 100 times more from you than they would going to work for LA Fitness. And that's what I'm saying, is you need to make that argument.
Okay. Got you.
Aaron, Chris, anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I can add some stuff there.
Yeah, Chris.
Um, so I can actually speak on a little bit on both, Adrian. So because we were gonna connect offline, we never did on the franchise thing. But let me hit on the hiring thing just for a second. Just in my own experience, something that I've learned over the last 9 years, and for my assistant, when I was in search of my assistant over the years, I always seemed to come up with the wrong one, and I feel like that I was always looking for somebody who was like me, who was hard driving, type A personality. Have you ever done the DISC assessment, or are you familiar with that at all?
Familiar with it, yep.
Okay. So I don't know if that's something you've had good experiences with or not in the past, but I was exposed to that process, and it kind of changed my perspective on some things when I started doing that on all of my employees. And so I don't know if this helps you whatsoever at all, but learning what types of personalities work best with my personality was the lesson that I had to learn in that, and meaning that I was always looking for somebody like me. And I think that was actually the problem that I kept running up against, because it was like, two type A personalities, two high DIs in the room trying to work together, and it didn't work. Whereas now I have found a good fit for me, which is actually the opposite of me, which is a real high SC on that DISC assessment and has a complete opposite personality of me. And I think that balance has worked well for us. So we've been doing really, really well with my current assistant. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but that's just the one thing that I have to share with you on that.
Yeah, that helps for the admin role.
Right.
I think for somebody like a facility partner, they made it to be more similar to me.
For sure. So that's my piece on that. But for a franchise, so I used to be a franchise. I talked to you about that a little bit offline. So, I used to be a punch kettlebell gym for years. Mm-hmm. So that was a good 5-6 years that I was a franchise, and leaving that franchise was the best thing I ever did. So I would tell you to go for it and do it as soon as you possibly can. As far as like getting out of the franchise, I would add, one question I would have for you is did they make promises to you as far as what they would provide for you in support, and have they kept those promises?
Mm-hmm. They've kept their promises for the most part, yeah. There hasn't been like a significant breach in the agreement there.
Okay. Have you talked to them about getting out? Have you actually approached them about it and asked them about it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing, and we're trying to negotiate payment options right now, and that's where I'm stuck right now, because I want to save up for my next facility, because the time we need that, Okay. And they want me to drop like almost $10,000 right now just to pay up for half of what my balance is. So, yeah. Okay.
So they're not open to just letting you out.
Right.
Have you discussed I know that you always want to keep in integrity is a big deal. So I'm certainly not advising you to do something that's not within that's not within your values. But in my case, at least, it was a hardship. It had became a hardship, and it came to the point for me that I was either going to be paying my rent, or I was going to have to pay them their franchise fees. So that was just my situation at that time, different from your situation. So it got to a point where I was able to walk away, and there was no repercussions for that because of my current situation. So you may just want to talk to them about possibly getting out. Is there an option to get out of that without having to pay? But that's what I did. But again, it was situational for me. But I will tell you that. But again, after getting out of that, it was the best thing that I was able ever to do. My business blew up after that when we rebranded because here's the thing for me. We had become. It was great when we first started, but we had become something completely different. When we first went in, we were in complete alignment with that franchise and what they really laid out for us. And over 5 years, though, we had developed into a completely different brand. Everything that we did was different. So we really developed our own brand, but we were being sort of held back by that franchise. So once we walked away from that, we completely just blew up and came into our own, and it was the best thing we ever did.
That's good. Yeah, and for me, it's hard for me because when I joined the franchise, I do still buy into their values. I like who they are and what they do.
Right.
I felt really slighted and hurt because of their rule around territories is so like you can open up 3 miles or more from any other facility. And I just felt like really kind of like not, I guess betrayed is a word for it in a way. Because it was just like, that's like, you think they would foresee the implosion or the damaging of the brand there. That, you know, and the real kicker for me was that when I posted about it in the Facebook group and I talked to the CEO of FitBody about it, his reaction was more like a child's reaction than an adult, and he got really emotional about it, and he said I was quote unquote pissing on him, and it was bad. But that's what got me. That's what made me think about it, because it's like this guy is leading all of us, and he's a great guy, but right. If he handles crap like that, that concerns me, you know. So that's what really gets me.
Yeah, we had the same. In my situation, was very much the same, and that was another reason why we were just eventually, over a long drawn out process, we were like, we're just done, and whatever happens, but we need to move on and do what we need to do. So, but was there any in the contracts and everything that you guys signed, was there specifics on territory there, like that they outlined that we could open up so close or so far away?
They had it where you had a first right of refusal, actually, and then they did away with that, midway through. So it used to be where
no boundaries on that at all.
There are the boundary is the 3 miles, but that's it. Really. It's separated really just by zip codes, but right. Zip codes are neighboring each other. I mean, in essence, close. So that was the unfortunate part about it.
Yeah. I didn't have to deal with that, unfortunately, or fortunately, because they that is one thing that they had a much larger boundary. I think it was like 25 miles or something like that. So we didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah. How close is your nearest other FitBody?
It is. Hang on, Cat. How far away is Portage from us? Like, would you say 5 minutes or 6 minutes? 5 minutes down the road.
You know what you ought to do, just for shits and giggles, as they say, get in your car or get a bike with a pedometer or something that'll measure distance and drive it. I'd go the straightest possible way you could go and record it, because if it's 2.9 miles, you got to breach your contract.
Yeah. It's on the map that I had written out, it was like 3.5 miles or something like that. But yeah.
Well, that might be by the street, but as the crow flies, it might not. I don't know. I'm just throwing out options, because frankly, I would not want to cough up 10 grand either, plus ongoing for nothing. I hate that shit. We did that. At MP, we did that. We tied people into VIP contracts, and I was against it all. I was like, let them go. This is my philosophy on business is, if somebody does not see the value in what I offer, I'm not going to force them to pay me. I mean, I'm just not. It just goes against who I am. I understand there are other considerations, and so I'm maybe that I'm a little bit naive about that, but that's just how I feel. I don't want to take somebody's money if they're not happy.
Yeah.
The real issue with Adrian's is much like what we did when we had fitness together, right? And all of a sudden, these things within 3 or 4 miles of each other, and you get a cluster of them. And this is what he's got. He's now got 3 within just 4 or 5 miles of each other. And then you start trying to market externally, and everybody is cannibalizing off of everybody's market for the same prospect. And it only ends in one bad place. It's called a price war. And that's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's where it ends, right? Because you've got 3 different owners. If they're all owned by the same guy, you're all right.
Yeah.
And that was something that the thing that irks me the most is that the owner of the one that's 5 minutes away from me, there's another one that's 12 minutes down the road. They're further away. She like just opened up, but the one that's 5 minutes away from me, that owner, she's never afraid to sell lower than I am. She'll always take people at a lower price. So it's like every time I hear about it, they're like, yeah, she'll give me a lower rate. What can you do? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And like, okay, bye. And I'm like, all right.
Here's what I can do. I can get you fit. I can change your body and your life. I don't know that they can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if they can do that because unfortunately, I've heard bad experiences at that location, which further pisses me off because if we're going to carry the same freaking name, shouldn't you like do your part and like give everybody a good experience? Like part of me wants to get that owner into this group because I think she would benefit from it. But the other part of me says, screw that person.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, all right. Well, look, we're gonna wrap it up. It was a good discussion, you guys. Really appreciate your time today. Well, before I go, anything else? Anything urgent? No. Good. Okay.
There was one question I had.
Yeah.
Because I still don't know. How do you, like during the hiring process, how do you hire for, or how do you test, or how do you assess somebody's leadership qualities? It's such a soft skill, but like how, like what kind of situation? So say Eric, say you're bringing me on as like in a leadership role. What test would you give me to prove my mettle?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I would, maybe do something like this, and this is sort of throwing to the wolves, so maybe it's extreme, but this is the first thing that popped in my head. I would say, Adrian, I want you to come on this weekly call that we do with our customers and clients, and I'll start it off, but then I want you to take over and lead people through a discussion. And I'll support you. I'll help you to be there, but I want to see you do some of it too. Something like that. I mean, and that's going to freak some people out. But you'll also see, because some people crumble under pressure, some people rise up under pressure. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. I need to have that pressure point in my hiring process, because I feel like if I don't have that and I wait until they get the real deal to do it, it's too late. So that's what I'm trying to find.
Well, what about having them? And I know what you said about you don't want to endanger any client relationships, and I get that. And so, but I wouldn't. I feel like I can rescue any situation if I were to put you in front and put you in front of people on this call, and you started to shit the bed. I feel like I could step in and save it. And so, and that's just a matter of just being confident. So I think you have that same level of confidence. So what about if you just took them and put them in a situation where it said, hey, I want you to lead this workout today, or part of this workout or something, and just see, would that work?
I think that could work. Could I mimic that also like in a sales consult? Could I just say, okay, talk to this person about like our memberships and where you think we can help them, like that kind of thing? Yeah,
but I think you could, but I think people can, it's easy to fabricate stuff when you don't have to deal with any type of, I just put them in a real life situation is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
That's what I think would be the best. And I think you can't do that until you're further along in the hiring process, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my thoughts. You guys, Chris, Aaron, anything you got?
To Eric's point, one of the safer ways you might test this out during their probation period, which of course they're going to have, is they have to lead a trainers meeting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways. Another thing I'll recommend to you, I know Jonas just did this. When you get down to the last person or a couple people, have Camelia interview them too. She's really good at that stuff, and she's got radar like you wouldn't believe. She'll know just from talking to somebody even over this whether they're full of shit or whether they're the real deal. So that's something you ought to consider.
Okay.
So, Adrian, I can add to that too.
Yep.
Just a couple things that come to mind. I already mentioned the DISC assessment, which will identify a leadership personality. We've had people do presentations. So like in my hiring process for my admin, for example, I had her I gave her something that she needed to present on, and she had to put together and do a presentation live for my entire leadership team. So that was something I wanted to see her get up and present and see what kind of confidence she could bring to the table and actually teach other people. So that was one of the things that we did as well. And then in the early stages of the process, one of the first questions I'm asking is I want to know what kind of leadership development books they're reading. So that's a big one. I want to know what they're reading, because if they're a leader, they should most likely be reading something, have read something recently, been to some recent seminars and so on and so forth, as you guys all well know. So that'll give you a little bit of insight as well to see if they have any chops for it. And then lastly would just be your internship process. Part of that 90-day intern process would be a whole lot of hands-on out there on the gym floor. Show me what you have.
Okay.
Those are all awesome suggestions, and particularly, I mean, I like them all, but the one about what are you reading? I think that's just a key question that should be in every hiring process. What are you reading? And if they're like, well, I read a lot on Instagram, then it's pretty cut and dry. No, that's great stuff, Chris. Thank you very much, and that very helpful as always. All right.
Sorry, because before I forget to ask it, was there a certain topic for the presentation? Because that's something I can see myself implementing.
For her, this was situational, but for her, we happened to be implementing a new CRM at that time. Yeah. So basically, that was one of the things to put her under pressure. Yeah. I said, all right, we need to implement this new CRM, and you got it. It's all you. And I had her like literally from the first call with the company all the way through the whole process. I had her implement that entire CRM process, all the education to the clients. I gave her a huge, so the moral of the story is find a huge project for that person and put it in their hands and let them go with it and give them give them some support, but they got to do it. And that's what I did with her. And then the culmination of that at the very end was now present it to our clients, present it to our leadership team.
Okay. I'm assuming you hired her.
Yeah.
That's strong. I really love that, particularly in that 90-day window. Say for instance, I don't know when so Chris, did you actually have her do this? The presentation, she was already in her probationary period, right? You were already paying her when she did
right.
Yeah,
right.
Okay. So I think that's just a fantastic idea, because you can, not only do you put the person to the test, but you also get them working on something you need done. So
exactly.
Even if they wash out, they probably moved the ball forward a little bit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and so Chris, now Eric and I just want you to put together an SOP on that. Shoot it over to us, and we'll share it with everybody as a bonus.
Yeah. No, I was just jotting down here. I just wrote down awesome ideas about hiring, because I got to make sure everybody knows that the last 20 minutes of this call have just been some really good stuff on
if you guys are going to hire partners for the TRC, I can do stuff.
Thanks. All right, guys. Well, then we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Facebook.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Chris.